So I plan to do a video on the entire second round, but I think this series in particular deserves its own video. It's going to be the Oklahoma City Thunder against the San Antonio Spurs, probably the second and third best teams in the NBA right now. San Antonio's bread and butter being Kawhi Leonard's emergence as one of the top 5 players in the league. And of course, signing LaMarcus Aldridge. Tim Duncan is still a good defensive player, and he finishes well around the rim. Tony Parker is still super efficient. Boris Diaw is a great, versatile big man who can pass and kind of hit the outside shot. Patty Mills is a good shooter off the bench. Of course, coached by Greg Popovich. They're awesome. And then there's Oklahoma City, who I would say is not as deep as San Antonio, but Kevin Durant and Russell Westbrook is the best duo in the NBA right now, and in my opinion, Durant being the second best player in the league, and Westbrook probably being the 5th best. And those two are so good they can win you a series by themselves. Besides that, Serge Ibaka is still a very good defensive big man, and he is capable on offense. Steven Adams is a nice center, and then there's Enes Kanter, who, well, he's very good on one side of the ball, and he's pretty bad on the other one, but he still can do something for you. Now, of course, as awesome as Greg Popovich is, I would not give the same praises to Billy Donovan. It took him like half the season to realize he should have either Durant or Westbrook on the floor at all times. He gives a lot of minutes to guys like Kyle Singler and Dion Waiters, and, well, they're just not that good. I actually think OKC's best possible lineup probably could have been Cameron Payne at point guard, Westbrook at the 2, and then Durant, Ibaka, and then Steven Adams. But unfortunately, Cameron Payne didn't get many minutes during the season, so I don't think you can just plop him into the second round against the San Antonio Spurs. So OKC is going to have to deal with their rotation of specialist shooting guards, which is Andre Robertson, who's a good defender but can't shoot. And then there's Anthony Morrow, who can shoot but can't play defense. And then, like I mentioned, Dion Waiters and Kyle Singler. I don't trust either one of them in this series. And I think that might be the biggest Achilles heel for the Thunder is in crunch time, it's really going to be 4-on-5 because Robertson is usually the guy in those situations. The Spurs, they're not even going to defend him. They're just going to leave him open, and San Antonio is a smart defensive team this season. Not very athletic, but they just do small things that make it really difficult for you to score. A lot of the time, they'll lay back on the pick and roll to force you into the mid-range jumper, which is probably the least efficient shot in the NBA right now. Things like that they're content with doing. Of course, Russell Westbrook and Kevin Durant are so good that I think this series is actually going to go 7 games because, like I mentioned, when you have just 2 guys who are among the 5 best players in the league, they're going to give you everything they've got. But, look, the Thunder got rid of Scott Brooks because his offense was pretty unimaginative. Billy Donovan's is not much better. Yeah, there might be the occasional floppy play for Kevin Durant, but there's not much creativity when it comes to that offense, and San Antonio is way too good of a defensive team to just say, yo, Durant, or hey, Westbrook, can you just do something right now? Now, like I mentioned, those two are great, so it's going to push it to 7 games, but do I think OKC can actually win this series? I don't know. If we look at some matchups, I think the one that might be the most interesting and might sway the series the most is the power forward matchup between Serge Ibaka and LaMarcus Aldridge. I don't know if Serge Ibaka can defend Aldridge, specifically on the post, but at the same time, I don't know if Aldridge can defend Ibaka when it comes to things like the pick and pop. However, that means Serge is going to have to be really consistent from outside in this series, able to hit a lot of three-pointers. That might be asking too much of him. I don't know if he's going to be able to put up about 15 to 20 points a game here and hit 2 to 3 threes a game and really force LaMarcus to defend him, or force Popovich at times to put maybe David West or Boris Diaw in the game to defend Ibaka. That's the sort of thing I think OKC is going to need to take the initial steps to winning this thing. But if they can't get Aldridge off the floor, or if they can't force San Antonio into an adjustment, I don't know. Now, another thing OKC could do to try to get Aldridge off the floor is run Durant at power forward, but like I've already mentioned, then you're going to have to roll with like Morrow and Waiters or Singler and Robertson. They just don't have enough two-way perimeter players to be able to put Durant at the power forward spot. It's going to be tough for them to deal with LaMarcus Aldridge. And plus, even then, if they try to run a lot of pick and rolls with Ibaka and Westbrook, OKC is just going to go under that screen. They're going to force Westbrook to beat him with the outside shot, and that's probably the way to go at Russell, to be honest with you. And I also don't trust Billy Donovan to be able to take advantage of a potential mismatch, because he's just not that great of a coach, let's be honest here. Against Greg Popovich as well, that's just tough. And if we look at OKC's other big man, Enes Kanter, whenever he's in the game, Popovich is going to attack him, because the Spurs still have enough guys who can attack in a pick and roll. Tony Parker can still do it. He was very efficient this season. Manu, I mean, he's on his last legs, but I trust he can still do something in this series. And then there's also Kawhi Leonard. And speaking of Kawhi, I'm interested to see if this is when he finally says, alright guys, I know we're the Spurs, I know Pop's the coach, I know all that mess, but just give me the damn ball. Because last season, when the Spurs went up against a team of similar talent in the Clippers, Kawhi did really not kill him. In Game 7, he had like 13 points. That's not okay. Now, they didn't have LaMarcus Aldridge last year, and they're definitely a better team now, but Kawhi is still the best player, and I just want to see if he's going to really take over, because he likes to play within the Spurs system, and that's fine, and I would too. I mean, I think Kawhi was the most efficient player in the league this year. But even then, like at a certain point, it's going to be close, and, well, Durant is going to be able to hit some huge shots for OKC, and I want to see if Kawhi does the same thing. But if I had to pick a winner in this thing, I got to go with San Antonio. In 7 games, I think OKC pushes them to the brink, but I think the Spurs having a better coach, being deeper, and OKC just not having enough good players. So, sorry KD and Russ. You guys deserve to be on a championship thing, and you're really not because of some incompetence around you. And then congrats to the Spurs. You get to go face Golden State in the conference finals. It's going to be fun. That's going to do it, and I'm out.